Hi, second graders. I am so excited to be here with you today. We are going to be starting our new read aloud, and our book is called Those Darn Squirrels. It's by Adam Rubin. And I was given permission to read this book to you today by Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. Now, before we get started with our read aloud, there are a couple of things I wanted to remind you about. And so we're going to take a look at our anchor chart where we've been learning about how readers grow like beanstalks. Remember how we learned that second grade readers get to be in charge of their own reading? They get to choose not only what they are going to read, but also how they are going to read it. And remember that when readers choose how they are going to read a book, it helps them to think, how does this book want to be read? To answer this question, readers give the book a grown up second grade sneak peek. What do you think? Are you ready to get started with our reading? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, here's our book, Those Darn Squirrels. Now take a look at the cover. I'm sure you can see this is going to be a funny book. See the man in the picture? He's yelling, those darn squirrels, and shaking his fist. Can you do that with me? Those darn squirrels. It's kind of funny, isn't it? Now let's study this cover a little more. Who else do you see here? What else is happening? Oh, how many of you noticed that bird on his head? Yeah, it looks like the man and the bird are both yelling. Did you think that? Oh, I see. Yep, some of you thought that. Maybe you noticed that these squirrels are eating the food. And if you looked really carefully, how many of you noticed those squirrels are kind of smiling? Did you notice that? So how do you think the author wants us to sound when we read this title, Those Darn Squirrels? I'm trying some different voices. Will you try it with me? Let's start with an angry voice. Are you ready? Those darn squirrels. Whoa, you sounded very angry. Can you sound silly next? Those darn squirrels. How about annoyed? Those darn squirrels. Let's continue our sneak peek by looking at the back of the book. Here is the blurb on the back, and it says, Old Man Fuquire is a grump. The only thing he really likes is painting pictures of the birds that visit his little old house near the forest. When the time comes for the birds to fly south for the winter, Old Man Fuquire hatches a plan to keep them close by. He builds bird feeders and fills them with yummy seeds and berries in the hopes that his beautiful birds will stick around. But there are other hungry creatures in the nearby forest, and they have plans too. This is a story of what happens when a grumpy old man and some mischievous squirrels match wits with hilarious results. Wow, that blurb told us a lot about the story. Before we begin reading, I am going to retell on my fingers those important parts. So, Old Man Fuquire, what a funny name. He really likes painting pictures of birds. But he gets really sad because the birds fly south for the winter. So he comes up with a plan to keep the birds there. He builds bird feeders. The problem is that some other creatures like the bird feeders. I'm guessing those other creatures are the squirrels. Did you think that same thing? They were the squirrels. I think that's all. Do you agree that's all it told us? Oh, I remember one more thing. It told us this book was going to be hilarious. And hilarious means really funny. So, what I want you to do now is pause the video and I want you to go tell someone or something in your house what this book is going to be about and what that problem is. You might choose to tell an animal, your dog, your cat, your goldfish. You might find a stuffed animal to tell, or a Lego creation, or a real life person in your house. So go tell them what you learned about this book and then come on back and we'll get started reading. Welcome back. Okay, we're going to get started. Those Darn Squirrels by Adam Rubin, and the pictures are by Daniel Salmieri. Those darn squirrels. There they are, hiding behind that tree. These must be Old Man Fuquire's paintings. Look at his paintings of all the birds. Old Man Fuquire. That is a funny name. Would you say that name with me? Old Man Fuquire. Say it one more time. Old Man Fuquire. It is a funny name. On the outskirts of town, at the edge of the forest, there was a little old house. The only thing older than the little old house was the man who lived in it. Old Man Fuquire. Old Man Fuquire was so old that when he sneezed, dust came out. He was also a grump. He hated pie. He hated puppies. Wow, Old Man Fuquire is definitely old. When he sneezed, dust came out. We also learned some things about him and that kind of confirmed our sneak peek that he is grumpy. So I heard a couple things that told me he was grumpy. Would you go ahead and whisper into your hand two things that you might have heard that tells you he's grumpy? Go ahead. Did you say that he hates pie? Did you say that he hates puppies? Did you say a different idea? Awesome. I want you to be continuing to think about that evidence that we're confirming what Old Man Fuquire is like as we keep reading. But don't just stop with him. We're going to be meeting some new characters, and I want you to pay attention to those characters and what we're learning about them. The only thing he liked was birds. All summer long, the old man painted pictures of the birds that visited his backyard. There were whirlybirds and bonga birds, baba birds and yaba birds. Even a rare flugel bird came by once or twice. Fuquire's paintings weren't very good, but the birds never said anything. When the air turned crisp and the leaves began to change color, the old man grew sad. He knew that soon the birds would fly south for the winter as they did every year, and that he would be lonely. Then he had an idea. If he fed the birds, maybe they would stick around. So Old Man Foodwire built beautiful bird feeders and put them up all around his backyard. He filled the feeders with delicious seeds and berries, and soon birds came from all over the forest just to eat in the old man's yard. But the birds weren't the only ones who liked the bird feeders. The squirrels did too. Not many people know this, but squirrels are the cleverest of all the woodland creatures. In fact, they're fuzzy little geniuses. They can make a house out of a tree, a bed out of a bunch of leaves, and a box kite out of twigs, dirt, and squirrels did. They are also excellent at math. Okay, we've met those squirrels. So now we know some things about the squirrels and Old Man Fruit Choir. I want to keep track of that thinking. So I'm going to write some of these ideas down. You can see I already wrote what we talked about with Old Man Fuquire. Remember, he's old and grumpy. He hates pie and puppies. He likes painting, but he's not very good at it. And he gets sad when the birds leave. Well, we learned some things about the squirrels too. They like bird feeders. The bird seed, they like the bird seed in the bird feeders. We also learned that people think they are geniuses. Do you remember why people think they are geniuses? They like to make kites and they're good at math. Wow, readers, we've learned a lot about these characters. We learned a lot about Old Man Footwire and the squirrels. I'm wondering what might be happening next. We're going to stop here for today, and the next time we read, we'll see how the squirrels and Old Man Footwire interact with each other. Will you right now make a prediction about what you think is going to happen next? Hold on to that prediction, and when we meet again tomorrow, we'll see if it comes true. Happy reading!